radiant after creation, began to twist under an unseen imbalance. The wind lost its sweetness, the forests withered, and the earth exhaled the stench of corruption. From the heavens and the ground, something forbidden was born. Hybrid creatures, towering and twisted, the Nephilim, offspring of fallen angels and mortal women. They were colossal abominations, beings of immense strength and hollow gaze, rejected by creation itself. Each step they took made the earth quake and the air tremble, while nature, powerless, seemed to mourn the violation of its sacred laws. It all began with the Watchers, angels sent to observe humanity, who, captivated by the beauty of mortals, broke their celestial vow. They descended to earth and took human form, teaching mankind secrets meant only for heaven: metallurgy, warfare, magic, the use of herbs and enchantments. With that knowledge, humanity flourished rapidly, but the light of wisdom turned into a fire of destruction. Power birthed arrogance, idolatry, and greed. Men turned against each other, and the angels, once mere observers, became accomplices in the fall. From that profane union came the Nephilim, giant and violent beings who ruled the earth with cruelty. They built cities and temples, enslaved humans, and made themselves kings of blood and fear. The earth, once a garden, became a battlefield. Rivers ran red with blood, and the sky darkened with the shadow of their dominion. The Creator, seeing his work defiled, heard the cries of the innocent and decreed justice. Uriel, Michael, Raphael, and Gabriel descended with divine command: imprison the Watchers and destroy the giants. The world would be cleansed by the great flood, a rebirth through ruin. Even after the fall of the Watchers, forbidden knowledge remained among men, carved into myths and ancient civilizations. Humanity would forever carry the memory of rebellion, the lesson that knowledge without wisdom becomes poison. The Nephilim's violence grew with their pride. They declared themselves gods, demanded worship, and built thrones of bone and altars of blood. Human tribes were enslaved, forced to worship the giants under threat of death. The name of God vanished from human lips, replaced by chants to the sons of disobedience. But not all bowed down. Among the humble, the memory of the Creator still burned. Stories whispered in secret kept hope alive. And in that age of darkness arose Enoch, the forgotten prophet, great-grandfather of Noah. He walked with God when the world had turned away from him. Called out from the midst of corruption, Enoch was chosen to proclaim judgment. His voice thundered against the Watchers and the colossi: "You abandoned heaven and profaned the earth. The Most High will judge you." The Nephilim mocked him, yet the prophet did not waver. He foretold the flood, the end of divine patience and the beginning of purification. After delivering his message, Enoch vanished before the deluge came. Some said God had taken him. Others believed he hid among the mountains. But his prophecy endured. Nature began to rebel. The sun scorched, the winds roared, the seas raged. It was as if the world itself awaited heaven's command. And when the time arrived, the waters fell not as rain, but as divine tears. The flood erased the traces of giants, washed away the blood of the innocent, and restored silence to the earth. Noah, the righteous man chosen by God, built the ark amidst the mockery of the wicked. When the storm came, his faith sustained him. The ark floated above destruction, a symbol of mercy. The Watchers were chained in darkness, and the Nephilim were swept away by the waves. The rainbow that followed marked a new beginning, a covenant between the Creator and humanity, proof that justice can rise even within wrath, and that the love of God never fades. Thus ended the age of giants. The empire of the Nephilim sank beneath the weight of its walls, its thrones, and its false gods. All that remained were fragments of legend, echoes of an ancient rebellion, scars from a war between the divine and the profane. The world began anew, yet the shadows of the Watchers still whisper among mankind, reminding all that the pursuit of power without purity always exacts a price. The walls of the giant city were not made of ordinary stone. They were raised from skulls and blood, and the wind that passed through them carried the lament of the dead. Under the rule of the Watchers, the fallen angels, men had turned death into art and pain into architecture. The smoke from the furnaces painted the sky gray, and the sun struggled to pierce that shroud of corruption. In the streets, soldiers forged by Azazel marched in silence, armed with spears of fire and clad in armor made for terror. The city breathed idolatry and violence, and even the children learned to love war. The Nephilim, sons of the Watchers and mortal women, walked among men as gods, proud of their strength, blind to the ruin they had unleashed. The forbidden knowledge of the Watchers spread like plague. Tamiel taught seduction and enchantments. Azazel revealed the secret of metal and weapons. Others taught astrology, sorcery, and power. What was once divine science became magic and domination. Man, intoxicated by such knowledge, believed himself equal to the gods and forgot his creator. The earth responded. The ground split open, rivers turned red, and the air reeked of death. The harvests failed, the heavens thundered like invisible judges. Nature, saturated with blood, cried out for justice. It was the foreshadowing of judgment. From above, heaven watched in silence. The Most High saw corruption spread but still hesitated, for among men there was one righteous, Enoch. He walked amid chaos preaching repentance, speaking of a God who still waited, yet also of judgment drawing near. When his mission ended, he was taken into heaven, and the clock of judgment began to tick. Then came the signs. The sun dimmed, the wind shifted, the stars seemed to fall. The earth groaned under the weight of sin, and fear spread even among the giants. The Watchers, Simjaza, Azazel, and their brethren, felt something they had never known, terror. They gathered, pleading for forgiveness, begging Enoch to intercede. But the decree was sealed. Those who have corrupted the flesh shall be cast into the depths. The throne of the Almighty had spoken. When the waters began to fall, the world was seized by dread. Temples collapsed, the Nephilim were swallowed by the waves, and the Watchers fled to the mountains and into the depths of the seas. But there was no refuge. The abyss opened, and flaming voices called them by name. One by one, they were bound in eternal darkness, imprisoned until the great day of judgment. And what had once been pride turned into despair. The fear of the Watchers was not only of punishment, it was of what they had lost forever, the light they once knew and would never see again. Then came silence. The rain ceased, the bow of the covenant shone across the heavens, and the world was reborn. Corruption had been washed away, and the earth breathed once more. Yet in the depths, in the shadows of the abyss, the echo of the Watcher's fear still lingers, reminding eternity of what happens when the creature dares to defy the Creator.